Hi, I'm Eboni Usoro-Brown, and you probably best know me as an England netball and Team Bath Netball player. But I too had a baby last August. I had a baby girl called Savannah, and I thought I'd just share with you about some of my experiences during the national lockdown and how I found giving birth, being pregnant, and also my postpartum journey during the global pandemic. I think my journey in terms of motherhood probably started in October 2018 when I married my husband. JK and I both discussed for the years that we were dating beforehand that we definitely wanted to start a family and we both wanted children. So I was really lucky to be selected for the Commonwealth Games in 2018 where we won a gold medal, but also to represent England at the 2019 World Cup, which was in England. And it was following the World Cup, it was the end of a 4-year cycle that we definitely turned our attention, our considerations actually in terms of having a family. And we had so many stories in terms of friends and families who had been really unfortunate in terms of trying to get pregnant, but also were very aware of how long that it might take to kind of conceive and go along that journey. So we definitely had thoughts about it in the December of 2019. We were really lucky in terms of, I found it out on the plane on the way to Florida. I clicked on my app, the Flow app, to see when I was meant to be ovulating and when my period was, and it said I was 2 days late. And you can imagine I was sitting in the seat on the way to Florida, and you have all these thoughts running through your head, don't you, in terms of, oh my God, am I pregnant? Am I not pregnant? And it was the longest, I think it was 5 hours until we landed in the airport. And then if anyone knows, if you go to Orlando International Airport, there's no chemist in the airport either. So I wasn't able to get a pregnancy test, but I managed to get my hands on one 2 days later, and it confirmed what I was thinking. And it was a really exciting time. I remember looking at the test, and you had that like a whole range of emotions in terms of excitement, anxiety, joy. And Jake at the time, he's in the RAF, he was in Dubai. And I remember calling him on Boxing Day and saying, okay, surprise, we're pregnant. And he was absolutely speechless. So to get such a positive reaction as I knew I would from him, but also to have that like little secret at that moment in time, just between the two of us, was absolutely wonderful. And we decided to wait to the 12-week mark in which to tell our friends and family, just to be as safe and as cautious as possible. But it's that sense of that feeling of just pure elation that I'll never, ever, ever forget. So fast forward to 2020, the start of 2020, and I initially had signed up to play for Team Bath for the 2020 season. So I had to let my coach know that I wouldn't be taking part in the season, and then obviously the team. And then we broke the news, I guess, publicly in the beginning of February. And the response that we got was absolutely fantastic. And in particular from Team Bath Netball, I think I've lived my life as an elite athlete for nearly 15 years. And I think in terms of when an athlete sometimes announces that they're pregnant, there's always a connotation of, are they retiring? It's the end of their career. But I knew I wanted to return to the court, and Team Bath in particular couldn't have been more supportive. So it made me feel really positive, the fact that I was pregnant and the journey that I was about to embark on. Next thing you know, March 2020 hit, and we were all in lockdown in a global pandemic. And I've got to admit, it was really quite scary at the time because none of us knew exactly what a global pandemic entailed, what restrictions would be put in place, but also in terms of what precautions we would need to take. And especially as a pregnant person, I didn't know what that meant in terms of if I contracted the disease, would that affect my baby? Because there wasn't as much information as there is now. So I remember when we went into lockdown, it was actually really a positive thing for me. I felt very safe at home. And I think as more information rolled out, I started to develop a routine and get really comfortable in terms of my surroundings. I was able to work from home. So as well as being an athlete, I'm also a solicitor. So luckily for me, in terms of the area of law I work in commercial litigation. The courts were still open, and I was very much able to continue as normal, which I was really, really fortunate to be able to do. So I think one thing that was really positive about going to lockdown at that stage was that even being pregnant, I was just reaching just over the, 14-week mark. I wasn't having to commute. So in one sense, as well as working from home, my attention definitely turned to in terms of looking after myself and my personal well-being. So mentally, emotionally, physically, I was able to focus on me and make sure that I was as healthy and in the best possible position I could be for myself and for my baby. And that's probably something I haven't really done over the last couple of years, because between international tours where you're going from a hotel to a training venue, back to a hotel, or flying halfway across the world to Australia, New Zealand or the Caribbean and then coming back again, it's quite stressful and it can take quite a lot of toll on your body and your mental and emotional capabilities. So the fact that I was at home, I was able to have home cooked meals every day. My mum isolated with us, so I was able to obviously have that tender loving care from her, as well as JK when he came home from work, was something in one sense I'd never really experienced before. But we were able to create my own little bubble, and I think that really helped nurture me through my pregnancy and really put me in a really positive place going towards my labour. I remember I was really keen to stay active during my pregnancy, so I made sure I walked every day, and I also started a blog on my Instagram because I just wanted to kind of show other mothers that I'm still out there, I'm still walking and still keeping moving and following the advice. But also I think it was just great to kind of, again, from a mental perspective, just to kind of get out, get some fresh air, get up, be active every single day, just to break up the monotony of each and every day that we were actually in the lockdown. So I think one of the things I probably missed out on during those early parts of the pandemic was JK was allowed to attend the 12-week scan, but obviously then restrictions came into force and everything changed. So by the 20-week scan, he wasn't able to come and I had to attend that alone. So in a normal course of pregnancy, quite often your partner would be there for each and every step of the way. So I think that was really different, and it was one of those things I probably look back on saying it was an opportunity missed, because it's our first child and you want to be involved in every single part of that journey. So, but in the same breath, it was good that we were able to get lots of photos from the scan. And I remember talking to him throughout my scan, every step of the way, to try and make him feel involved. So I think obviously the priority at that point in time was the NHS were absolutely at the brim at that point in time. So in terms of keeping everyone safe, it was definitely the best option. So I think the whole 9 months of the pregnancy, I had very little morning sickness. Probably felt a bit nauseous in the first trimester. The second trimester, which they call the brilliant trimester, I felt great. And then the third trimester is when I definitely had more nausea than I'd ever experienced. But I now know why, because Savannah had a head of hair when she was born. So it was all worth it in the end. But I think what's really important to me is the fact that because I was so active during my pregnancy, I felt like I was able to stay at home. I definitely felt I was mentally prepared for what I was about to embark on in terms of the journey of motherhood. I was able to read a lot of books. I was able to and although the books don't necessarily prepare you for each and every stage, I actually felt really informed. And JK and I were able to do the antenatal classes together, although they were done virtually. And so although there were little bits and things that we would naturally have done in person, I don't necessarily feel like I missed out on them. The only probably thing that I did miss out on was a proper baby shower. But my friends and my families did so well in terms of just trying to get around me, get so excited about Savannah, or at the time they didn't know it was Savannah, but Savannah arriving. And that really put me in good stead as to what motherhood was going to be like. So in terms of the birth, I had such a positive birth experience, and I feel really fortunate for that. I had Savannah at the Bath RUH, and the team there were absolutely incredible. I initially was going to have a water birth, but we had meconium in the sac, so I was initially going to be induced, but ended up having a really natural labour. And that moment when she got placed in my arms, it was just indescribable. The amount of love, as they talk about, and that overwhelming feeling of just wanting to protect her and love her and just hold her, is an experience that I can't really put words to, but it's the best feeling of my life so far. So all those emotions and the fact that JK was able to be there in the delivery suite with me, it was awesome. The fact that we'd now become a family, and our legacy had kind of started to form. So I think following the birth, we obviously came home, and my postpartum experience again, has been a really positive one. I think, again, having JK and my mum here to support me in this time, this special time and this new time in terms of as I have a new role, I've been really fortunate to have. And it's so weird because obviously no matter how many antenatal classes you go to or all the different information you hear, you definitely are learning on the job as a new mum. And it's been wonderful. Even though the last 6 months, just to see her reach her milestones each and every day and the new things that she can do and how inquisitive she is, it just fills me with so much joy and so much pride. I think one thing we haven't managed to do, obviously, is to go to the mum and baby classes that we naturally would have gone to, but we have engaged in some classes virtually. But I'm just hoping when the lockdown restrictions lift at the end of or middle of this year, hopefully, that we'll be able to engage in some of those classes a bit more and meet other mums, other babies, and really get that maternity leave experience. But I'm just really grateful in this period of time that during the pandemic, we've been able to keep safe. I've been able to protect Savannah and my family, and I've also just been able to kind of slow down. I think sometimes as women, as mothers, even though I'm a new mother, as just individuals, we have got so many things in terms of that we're multitasking, and I think what the pandemic definitely did for me is maybe slow down, take stock, reorder my priorities, and also and look at my value system and just know in terms of what's important to me, what do I want to stand for, and what will drive me, what will be my purpose every single day. And I just feel happier, and I feel very fortunate for Savannah coming into our lives and the joy and how great it has been. I think one of the negatives as well is that not a lot of friends and family have been able to see her because of the pandemic. But again, I'm hoping as lockdown finishes and the restrictions lift, it'll be more in person rather than virtually. But all in all, I think being pregnant during the pandemic, giving birth during the pandemic, and the postpartum journey, and also returning to the netball court, I've been really fortunate because as an elite netballer and having elite status, I've been able to train for 2 or 3 hours a day with the netball team whilst being on maternity leave. So having that external stimulus to me, I think I've actually made me a better parent, because in one sense, by having something that's external, that's been one of my passions, I'm allowed to go away and in one sense just still have a sense of my identity of who I was before I was a mother. But in terms of having that 2-3 hours away to kind of focus on me or contribute to the team, has allowed me to come back into the house and have a fresh look at parenting. So I know everyone can't wait to get back to sport and get back to normal life. And I would just encourage anyone, even if it's just for 30 minutes, even 2 or 3 times a week, if you can just grab some me time, I definitely think that, again, continues to contribute to your mental, physical and emotional health. And it does make you a better parent because you come back to it with fresh eyes, a smile on your face and that energy to give to your baby and give to your loved one. So yeah, motherhood for me is still a massive learning curve, and I don't have all the answers and I'm still learning every day. And I'm just really grateful for my support network and my husband, my mother, my wider family, Team Bath, my friends who have all given me little tidbits and bits of advice along the way, because without it, it would definitely be quite a lonely place because of those lack of social interactions. But I absolutely love being a mother, and we hope to expand our family at some point in time. But I'm just grateful that we've been blessed with Savannah, and I honestly feel like it's been blessed with Savannah because she is an absolute joy, and it's all that we could have ever wished for.